Eddie Herm here with IrishBoxing.com. Welcome to Dublin, Eddie. What did you make of the reception?
It's probably the best press conference I've ever been to. I mean, it was like, when you walk into a room and people are so pleased to see, the team here, the fighters here, the event here, it sort of gives you a lift because it is a tough sport, not just in the ring but out the ring. And there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. And when you see the response of the people to be here, it makes you very, very enthusiastic to come back. And some great fights on the card, a great bill, and of course the banter between Fitz and Spike. Fantastic, and obviously families getting involved, friends getting involved. It's,
professional football coaches getting involved.
Exactly.
Just on the Anthony the Fitz and Spike one, can you watch that free of?
Totally. I've got no ties with any of them. I can just say, the winner's in a great position because we're coming back to Ireland in November. So the winner's going to go on to fight, maybe even, for a big title. So I think that ultimately, you're in a position where we need fighters to come along for the journey with us, and the winner of that will be in a big fight in November. So even the loser, Fitz has been in some great fights. We saw him with Andy Lee, fought Hassan Ndame. He's been in the deep end, and he's got he's very, very determined in this fight. He's out in Marbella training hard, and got a good team around him. And I'm really excited about that fight. Like I said, one that I can just sit back and enjoy the atmosphere,
And just in general, in Matchroom coming here, you were saying the plan is, maybe the pipe dream one day to fight here in Croke Park, or to have it.
You obviously just saw us at Wembley the other month at 80,000, and always that's the dream in any city that you're in. Of course, we're a long way from that. We've got a lot of buildings still. We've also got to find the right fight. You can't just put on any old fight to fill a stadium like this, but the short-term plan is the National Stadium on August the 30th, and then the O2.
And that's a Matthew Top bill against
on
November the
1st or the 15th. Could be Martin Murray, could be Andy Lee, could even be a world title fight. It's going to be a big fight in November. So that's the short-term plan. That's what we know is definitely happening. Long-term plan, who knows? It's a huge division with some huge names, and if you get the right fight here, who knows? A lot of top amateurs as well.
Are you looking at more Irish fighters maybe to sign?
Yeah, I think that we don't necessarily need to sign them at the moment. They just know that there's opportunities there to be on our shows. So, young Luke Keeler, for example, Declan Garrity, even John Ryder, who's got a little bit of Irish. There's a lot of people who claim they're Irish. That I've got Irish in me, don't you? Eddie O'Hearn, that's another name. But I think that our Irish boxers now should be looking at this thinking, wow, I've got a real opportunity here to come along for the journey. And this is just one that we put together quite quickly. And the real planning will go into the November show to make sure we sell out the O2.
If you're not signing them Irish fighters directly, how do they get onto the show? Is it just?
Well, it's just really our relations with. For this one, we had probably 24 fighters come on and say, could I box on a show? And of course we can't put everyone on.
I understand.
But it's existing relationships with whoever we're working with. Packy Collins works with Luke Keeler, he's very popular. Obviously Declan Garrity's out with MGM Marbella, and Matthew and Fitz are on the bill. Tommy McCarthy, who's with Pat, so just people we work with, and of course we'll always leave the door open to people. Not everyone will be able to get on, but we know the demand of young fighters wanting to get on the show, and we just got to pick the right ones who are popular, talented, sell tickets, and they're the ones that will get the nod.
And just for over the years, we would be hearing that the reason yourselves or any English promoter couldn't come over to Dublin was because Sky couldn't afford to bring the TV cameras. Is it because they have camera gear over here for the GAA, or is
that's not true at all.
No.
Everything's you've got to look at this as a business commercially. So when we were going to Belfast, and that was what you're talking about, not to Dublin, we were doing so, and we were in a position with Carl Frampton where when we were building him, we were boxing him. He boxed on the Froch undercard in Nottingham, boxed in Sheffield. Then we'd come to Belfast. Then we'd go away. Then maybe 5 or 6 months later, then we'd return. He was at a stage where really he wanted to be headlining in Belfast. The problem was he wasn't delivering the viewing figures. So as a business, Sky have got the extra costs of production for coming over here, but do they want to invest that in a fighter that's actually not rated? Carl Frampton is a tremendous young fighter, future world champion, 100%. The bottom line is he wasn't rated. and it's very difficult for me to convince Sky to keep coming back, keep coming back. They weren't saying we'll never come back. They were just saying we can't come back every couple of months because we want to do other things, and I wanted to do other things as a promoter. So we need to make sure this race, Matthew Macklin, has wider appeal than Carl Frampton. Specifically at that time, you know, Frampton had just beaten Kiko Martinez. Macklin is very, very well known. Everyone's seen what he's done, and Joshua's on the bill as well, who is always a ratings hit for Sky. So everything's commercial. You know, we can't just.
So your involvement here is going to be ratings
led. We'll be ratings. I know short term. We're here in August. We're here in November. And at the moment, everything's hunky-dory. Everyone turned out today. We sold out in 10 minutes. But essentially, if we don't rate in August and we don't rate in November, then we could have the same problem long term. But we're going to give it a go. And with the quality of the shows we're putting on and the mix of fighters that we're bringing into the show, and it can't just be Irish-led, you know, because don't forget,
in terms of
it's
ratings,
Sky Broadcast. No, but it's Sky Broadcast. You know, it's not Sky Ireland. It's Sky. You know, all over the place. So we've got to make sure that we appeal to everyone. And I think that pure Irish shows wouldn't necessarily be a ratings hit. And I think that maybe that's what we could have done longer term, you know, working in Belfast, was to bring over the likes of Joshua and people who would have added more value to the ratings. But, you know, everything's great, and I think this will rate well, and I think November, you know, Matthew Macklin against Martin Murray or Matthew Macklin against Andy Lee is a big fight, and it's a ratings winner. That's the difference, you know. So I think we're going to be very successful here, and you know, we're here today because this is the long-term plan. May never happen, but this is the kind of thing that I aspire to because I've done it at Wembley and I want to do it elsewhere. And the atmosphere at Wembley was unbelievable. But you imagine the atmosphere here. I'm in for a major fight, but we've got to find the right fighter, we've got to find the right fight, and we've got to find the right fighters to be. We can't just be Matthew Macklin against, I don't know, Sergio Martinez at Croke Park. It's got to be Matthew Macklin against Sergio Martinez, Andy Lee against Sam Solomon, you know, Spike against whoever European, you know, I mean, like, it's got to be packed, and we need all the Irish cream to rise to the top. But this is the long-term plan, and I think we'll get there.
And can I just ask you finally, just about Frampton Quigg and where that's at, or is it?
I had some decent conversations with Jake McGuigan just prior to the Martinez fight getting made. You know, the plan is that Carl goes and wins the world title. Scott will defend on September the 13th, the week after. We'll finalise that opponent tomorrow. And then, hopefully, they'll fight. And I said, look, very simple. Let's do 2 fights. Let's do the first in Manchester, because it's going to be December, January, Feb. And the only other place in Belfast is the Odyssey, nowhere near big enough. And in the summer, we'll do something outdoors. Go to a big stadium in Belfast, you know. And we'll do it there, outdoors.
Do you understand why the rematch would probably be a stumbling block in that, or is it a
Not really, because all you do is you change the split. So the first fight is 50-50. You've got 2 world champions, right? Put all the money in the pot, share it out. Wonderful for the 2 fights. These fighters have got to remember, this fight is the biggest fight in the division for both of them. Forget Leo Santa Cruz, you know, forget Kiko Martinez. Quigg against Frampton is the biggest fight in the division for the pair of them. So let them get paid twice. Do you know what I mean? The winner gets the lion's share in the second fight. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is, if Carl Frampton comes over to Manchester and wins, then we go back to Ireland and he takes the lion's share. If Scott Quigg wins, and we go back to Ireland, Carl gets another chance.
But if one wins convincingly, then...
But then again, if it's not commercially viable, then you won't. But you know it's going to be a great fight. I mean, let's be honest. It is like one of them.
That's one you should have here.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, you know, I don't think that's... You know, because they're super bantams and because we're still building them, they're not quite... You know, people talk about a pay-per-view fight. It's a big fight in the boxing community, but it's not quite got the wide appeal that we need. In time, fingers crossed Carl wins the world title. The unification fight, fantastic. Imagine you do the first fight at the Phones View Arena, get 20,000. You'd bring 6, 7, 8, 9. No doubt about that. Frampton fans, 100%. What an atmosphere it would be. And then, if that's a cracker, then you come back and you do it outdoors, and that's a pay-per-view fight. Do you know what I mean? And all I care about is making sure the fighters get as much money as possible. And this is the right fight for both fighters. So if egos can be swept to the side and people can just think logically about the right thing to do, we won't have a problem.
Nice. I appreciate your
All
time,
right, mate.
Eddie.
No problem.
Welcome to Dublin.